If you've ever looked at your bank account at the end of the month and wondered where all your money disappeared to, you're definitely not alone. Managing our finances can feel overwhelming, especially when you're just getting started. But what if I told you there's a simple, straightforward method that can help you take control of your money without feeling deprived or overwhelmed by complicated spreadsheets? That's where the 50-30-20 rule comes in. It's one of my favorite budgeting frameworks, and today I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works, why it's so effective, and how you can put it into action. Starting today. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is the 50-30-20 rule? At its core, it's a budgeting guideline that helps you divide your after-tax income into 3 main categories: needs, wants, and savings or debt repayment. The beauty of this rule is its simplicity. Instead of tracking every single penny, you focus on the bigger picture. Here's the breakdown. 50% of your income should go toward your needs, 30% is reserved for your wants, and the remaining 20% is set aside for savings and paying down debt. That's it. Just 3 categories, clear percentages, and a whole lot more clarity about where your money is going. Now, let's dig a little deeper into each category, starting with the first one: needs. These are the essentials, the expenses you truly can't live without. We're talking about things like your rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, and minimum loan payments. Basically, if it's something you absolutely must pay to keep a roof over your head, the lights on, and food on the table, it goes in this bucket. The 50-30-20 rule suggests that you aim to keep these needs to no more than half your take-home pay. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say your monthly take-home pay is $3,000. According to the rule, your needs should add up to no more than $1,500 a month. That means if your rent is $1,000, your utilities are $150, your groceries are $300, and your car insurance and gas add up to $50, you're right on track. But if you find your needs are eating up more than half your income, don't panic. You're not alone. Housing costs in particular have skyrocketed in recent years. The goal here isn't perfection, but awareness. Knowing where you stand gives you the power to make tweaks, maybe by shopping around for cheaper insurance, meal planning to cut your grocery bill, or even considering a roommate to lower rent. All right, let's move on to the fun stuff: wants. This is where you get to budget for the things that bring you joy and make life a little sweeter but aren't strictly necessary. Think dinners out, streaming subscriptions, travel, new clothes, your daily latte, or that gym with the fancy eucalyptus towels. The 50-30-20 rule allows you to spend up to 30% of your income guilt-free on these wants. For our $3,000 a month example, that's $900 to spend on things you love. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but aren't I supposed to cut out all the extras if I want to save money? Here's the thing. I don't believe in deprivation. Budgets that feel like punishment almost never last. Allowing yourself some room for enjoyment gives you the freedom to live your life and stick with your plan for the long haul. The key is to be intentional. Maybe you realize you're spending $200 a month on takeout, but you'd rather put that cash toward a trip with friends. That's the beauty of the wants category. You get to decide what matters most to you. The last piece of the puzzle is savings and debt repayment, which gets 20% of your take-home pay. This might mean building an emergency fund, saving for retirement, putting money aside for a big goal like buying a home, or making extra payments on credit cards or student loans. For our example, that's $600 a month. If you're starting from zero, don't stress. Just focus on building a small emergency cushion first, even if it's only $500 to start. Once you have that safety net, you can redirect more to paying off high-interest debt or boosting your retirement contributions. Remember, the goal is progress, not perfection. So, why does the 50-30-20 rule work so well for beginners? First, it's simple. You don't need a finance degree or fancy spreadsheets to make it work. All you need to know is your after-tax income and what you're currently spending in each category. Second, it's flexible. Life changes. Maybe you get a raise, move to a new city, or have a baby. You can adjust the numbers as you go, but the framework helps you stay grounded. And finally, it's balanced. You're taking care of the essentials, giving yourself permission to enjoy life, and making steady progress toward your financial goals. Now, let's talk about how to actually put the 50-30-20 rule into action. I know that starting a budget can feel intimidating, but I promise you've got this. Here are a few steps to get you started. First, figure out your after-tax income. If you're a salaried employee, this is usually the amount that lands in your bank account each payday. If you're self-employed or have irregular income, look at your average monthly earnings over the past 6 to 12 months and subtract what you usually pay in taxes. Next, take inventory of your current spending. Pull up your bank statements and credit card transactions from the past month or two. Don't worry if you see some numbers that surprise you. This is about learning, not judging. Sort each expense into one of the 3 categories: needs, wants, or savings/debt repayment. If you're not sure where something fits, ask yourself, could I live without this, at least for a little while? If the answer is yes, it probably belongs in wants. Once you've tallied up your totals in each category, compare them to the 50-30-20 percentages. Are your needs over 50%? Are you giving yourself enough room for wants? Are you saving at least 20%? Don't be discouraged if things don't line up perfectly. Very few people nail it on the first try. The point is to spot where your money is going and look for easy wins. Speaking of easy wins, let's talk about some quick ways you can start to shift your spending toward the 50-30-20 balance, no matter where you're starting from. If your needs are a little high, start by looking for small, recurring expenses you can trim, maybe by switching to a cheaper phone plan, negotiating your internet bill, or meal prepping to cut grocery costs. If your wants are eating up more than 30%, try a no-spend challenge on dining out for a week, or swap out one streaming service for another. For savings, one of my favorite hacks is to automate transfers right after payday. Set up a direct deposit to a separate savings account so you're not tempted to spend what you meant to save. Even if you start with just $20 a week, it adds up over time. And if you're working on paying off debt, consider making bi-weekly payments instead of monthly ones. The extra payments can shave months or even years off your debt. I want to share a quick story with you. When I first started budgeting, I realized I was spending way more than I thought on little things: takeout lunches, impulse buys at the drugstore, random Amazon orders. It wasn't that any one purchase was a big deal, but they added up fast. When I started using the 50-30-20 rule, it was like flipping a light switch. Suddenly, I had a clear framework for making choices. I didn't have to agonize over every dollar. I just had to keep each category in check. Over time, those small changes, bringing lunch from home, skipping the sale emails, setting up an automatic transfer to my savings, made a huge difference. I built my first emergency fund, paid off my credit card, and even saved up for a trip I'd been dreaming about for years. The biggest lesson I learned: budgets aren't about restriction, they're about freedom. When you know where your money is going, you're in control. You get to decide what matters most, and you're no longer at the mercy of surprise expenses or end-of-month panic. Of course, life isn't always predictable. There will be months where things go off the rails: an unexpected car repair, a medical bill, a splurge you just couldn't resist. And that's okay. The goal isn't to stick to the rule perfectly every single month, but to use it as a compass that guides your decisions over time. If you're just starting out, I encourage you to pick one area to focus on this week. Maybe it's tracking your spending for a few days, or setting up an automatic transfer to savings. Maybe it's having an honest conversation with yourself about what really counts as a need versus a want. Every step you take is a win worth celebrating. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Share your goals with a friend or join a community of like-minded budgeters. The more you talk about money, the less scary it becomes. If you have a partner, sit down together and talk through your priorities. The 50-30-20 rule can be a fantastic tool for couples too. It gives you a shared language and takes some of the stress out of money talks. Let's recap. The 50-30-20 rule is a simple, flexible way to organize your finances, prioritize what matters, and make steady progress toward your goals. By dividing your take-home pay into needs, wants, and savings or debt repayment, you get a clear picture of where your money is going and a plan for making each dollar count. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or looking for a fresh start, this rule is a great place to begin. So, what's your next step? I challenge you to take a look at your last month's spending and see how it lines up with the 50-30-20 framework. Don't worry about being perfect. Just focus on getting a sense of where you are. Then pick one small change you can make this week, whether it's bringing your own coffee instead of buying out, or setting up that first automatic transfer to your emergency fund. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. What's one money-saving win you've had recently, or what's the biggest challenge you face when it comes to budgeting? Share your thoughts, tips, or even your struggles. We're all in this together, and every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to financial freedom. Remember, you have the power to take control of your money, one decision at a time. The journey might not always be easy, but it's so worth it. Keep going, keep learning, and don't be afraid to celebrate your progress along the way. Small changes really do add up, and before you know it, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Thanks for spending this time with the Budget Buddy. Here's to smarter spending, bigger savings, and a future where you call the shots with your money. You've got this.